This is episode 018, and on today's show, we are going to be talking about the big things happen when you do little things each and every day. You're going to hear us mention about what some of those small things are. It's very interesting, the slant the show went as we discuss. We're going to talk about affiliate and what that is, a small thing as an affiliate marketing, for example, or a link that has an affiliate product in there. That's a small thing, but how it led to big things. We are going to also talk about the fact that it could be just to visit with someone may seem like a small thing, but it led to big things. You'll hear that in our conversation today. Before we get into this, let me just say that this is going to be a lengthy episode as we talked about a number of issues I believe that are pertinent to this conversation, which I believe that will be very helpful to you. Here's some kind of a warning up front. You'll hear a clinking noise into the episode, parts of the episode, and that's where my microphone that I was using, I was not using my ATR 2100 as I'm using right now. And so the head one that I had, it was clinking against my shirt and brushing against that. But then you're gonna hear the difference that's made when I switch it back over to my current microphone that I'm using now. We made a point about that because sometimes we talk about the quality of the microphone, and we have a link in the show notes. If you go to podcast by Friday /018, podcast by Friday /018, you'll find the links in the show notes. You also find that not only did I make some noise there, you'll hear as well my dog barking, and when we made some errors, we did not take that out because we wanted to show you again how it's the little things that made big things. So see if you can find some other errors or some things that you would do differently, and let us know. We would love to hear and see what you identified. So with that said, my friend, let me not take up any more time. It's a lengthy episode, as I mentioned, and I want you to get the best of it. So sit back and enjoy this episode. The big things happen when you do little things each day.
Podcast by Friday with Bill Griggs and Kingsley Grant. We help people to create their minimal viable podcast by taking bold action to defeat procrastination and to get their voices heard.
I am Kingsley Grant.
And I'm Bill Griggs.
And we are the hosts of Podcast by Friday. Now, let's get to the show as we talk about it's the
little things, you know.
Yeah, no, but I'm telling you, it's the little things that makes a difference, right?
Yeah. And you know, it's somebody sharing that quick little secret that, hey, I found this LED light bulb that makes the videos look better, or it's brighter. It's a daylight bulb instead of the soft white. Stupid. Right. It's the little things.
It's the little things.
Yeah, but you just I don't know why I felt the need to share that with you, but it's like it just rocked my lighting world to switch over to those.
Yeah, and you know what, I find that it's just like I said, it's the little things that makes a difference. And here it is that sometimes when we might think, oh, everybody should know this, but it's when you share that. I mean, like Leslie, I saw Leslie Samuel was sharing something recently, and about how he was showing how he's videotaping, making a video for one of his pages, and he showed behind the scenes and very little things, like, okay, but what it did was like people were like, watching and just saying thank you for showing that, because we take it for granted everybody may know this, but everybody does not know this,
Yeah. It's funny. I just finished an interview for my podcast, with John Grimsmo from Grimsmo Knives. He's a YouTube celebrity. And
that's the guy, right?
Yeah, this is the guy I was just talking with. And he kept saying like-minded people. And, when I got to thinking about it, He's very much, his mind and my mind worked alike. And because of that, there were so many little tips, little tricks, little bits of information that I was picking up during the course of this interview, that I wouldn't have got anywhere else.
Yes.
Because, nobody else is on that wavelength.
Yes.
I may be getting a little like esoteric here, but it's really the little tiny things that you find from experience that, you share. I mean,
and especially when you're sharing with someone who is in the same wavelength, like you, share certain things like you do. I mean, to me, that's where it's the magic happens,
Yeah. And, when we talk about the podcast by Friday and, what we do, people take, like you said, people can, you take it for granted that, everybody knows that. Well, everybody doesn't know.
I know
that. I mean, like the microphones we use. Okay. Now, John is a big YouTube star, right? He's got the camera thing down. He's got everything down. And he makes a comment about my audio. He says, when you're not talking, all your background noise goes away at all. And I said, oh, this is because of the type of microphone that we've got. I says, it's not an expensive microphone. I showed him it's the Audio-Technica ATR 2100. And I said, but it focuses in on what you're saying instead of what's around you.
Yeah. And
when you're not saying anything, it's not pulling all that, like the hum of the heater and, all that other stuff in there. And, it's the little things. It's like knowing that,
And like you said, we take it for granted. Everybody should know it. Everybody knows it. Everybody does not know, So, So I mean, what would you say your biggest takeaway was from him this morning? That you can
stay the course. That was my biggest takeaway from it, because the interview focused in a lot on his story and how he got started and how he built it up and where he is now compared to where he started, and he brought up something that was very applicable to what everybody does. It's when you get started and you start building your audience. Okay. At first, it's a very slow growth for the audience. And then you flatline for a while where it doesn't seem like you're gaining anybody. You might get one viewer, you might get, one response, and it's, nothing. It doesn't look like anything's happening. That's where most people give up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, he discussed that. He says, but when you get past that low, that dip, if you will, things start to go up and they start going up exponentially, and suddenly, you had, 10 listeners, and now you look up one day and, oh my goodness, there's 50 people listening suddenly. And then there's 100. And then, next thing you know, you're looking at 1,000 members, people listening, and, then you turn around and you look and now it's 25,000, and, how did I get 100,000 listeners? Or, if you gave up,
that would never happen.
Yeah, when it looked like you were spinning your wheels, if you gave up, then you would never know that growth, and you would never, know the success, and that's where most people give up.
Yeah, that's so it's more around for your interview with him was more a mindset more than actual CNC, or is it a combination of both?
Oh, it's a combination of both. We were all over the spectrum. Okay. Yeah, there was. What's cool about him and what I like about him is he's thinking about that mindset stuff. He even discussed, now you got to understand, he started his business, with about $5,000. Okay. Of which he took about, 2,500 of that, went down and he bought his first milling machine and all the little equipment that he needed, milling machine and lathe and everything, really tiny stuff that I also started with, tiny stuff. And he got going and he built from there. And now he has Then he went to the machine that I currently own, the Tormach, which is, a big deal for me, as we've been discussing, to the point where now he's got 2 machines in his shop that, like the Mori, which is his mill, is 10 times as much as the Tormach cost, and the lathe is double that. So he's got $500,000 worth of machinery.
Oh my goodness.
In his shop. So you got to think how much revenue, how much income, how much product do you have to move in order to get to the point where you've got $500,000 worth of machinery and you can pay for it. That's the growth he's had since 2008 or 9.
Wow. I mean, did he give you like a time frame or timeline as like when things start picking up for him, and what was that pivotal moment?
Yeah, he did. He went through a timeline of things that, happened to him, where he was financially, what the decisions he was making, the thought processes, and his wife's input as well, which is really cool because he has a family-run business. He's in business with himself, his brother, and his father-in-law. Those are the 3 employees at the moment. They just brought in the father-in-law. So, they built this entire thing, just the 2 guys working out of their garage for like 4 or 5 years. And, now they're in a separate industrial space, with, in their own shop. All off of that initial, $5,000 investment. Well, it was kind of cool because he said, after they bought all the tooling and everything, because the machine they bought cost $500, but all the stuff to run it, added up. And so they'd spent about $2,500, in tooling and stuff by the time they were done for that first investment. So the other $5,000 they used, for operating expenses and whatever, to get going. But, from, that $5,000 investment, now he's, doing what he's doing, $500,000 worth of equipment there. His typical knife sells for $1,000 minimum.
Oh, he's the guy who makes those knives.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. I remember you guys started talking about us way back when, about this guy who make knives and, who buy these knives for like $500, $600, so like knives, crazy, right?
Yeah.
But the specialty, and special niche he's in.
Yeah. And so, I went up to his shop last week. A friend, long story shorter, a friend of mine from my Facebook group, who I met through the Facebook group, he's the one who hooked me up with the Makers Fair invitation, where I went and got to speak with some other YouTube producers and everything. Jesse Hewson, we did an episode of my podcast with, CNC Circus with Jesse Hewson. Jesse makes circus equipment. And he had made the decision that he was going to buy a Tormach machine, just like I had done. Mm. And he asked me, he lives about an hour and a half from here, and he asked me if I would go with him to check out the machine that he was thinking about buying. And, oh, by the way, the guy who owned the machine was John Grimsmo. Mm. I said, I've mentioned to you numerous times over the last year that John was somebody that I wanted to meet and interact with and try and, talk with. So, this was like, okay, the universe just made that happen. So we got in the car last week and we drove up to Niagara Falls. We went off into Canada and went to their shop and, saw what they did. And, we hit it off right away, and we spent, afternoon, took them out to lunch and, then just sat there and just talked about YouTube and business and podcasting and all of that. And then I gave the big ask. I said, would you come on my show? And he said, certainly, I'd love to. So, that was the impetus for having him on and, the interview that I just did earlier today with him. And I'm really looking forward to putting that out there because, it's a guy that I admire a lot. I love his story, and I'm trying to emulate it. So, this is, whether he knows it or not, he's been a mentor to me without, actually having met.
Yeah.
So, or at least an inspiration. So, it's kind of cool. It's a little things, if I hadn't built a Facebook group and I hadn't, interacted with the people then I wouldn't have met Jesse or, online and had him extend an invitation, say, hey, you're the kind of guy we'd love to have come speak at our Maker Faire. And, oh, by the way, these other big guys are here. And, then, get to meet him in person and, form a friendship there. And you just never know where the day is going to take you.
It's so true. I think, for example, for me, I went to this thing on Saturday, this National Speakers Association with the Florida chapter, and I almost never went. I was thinking, oh, man, I just, started looking at all the reasons why I should not go and why I could justify not going, and arguing with myself back and forth. And anyway, I ended up going, and I said to myself, I'm going to go, and I'm going to think about what's one thing I could 10x, I could find a way to 10x from this meeting. And it could be a relationship. It could be a statement that the speaker made. It could be something, and there's always something to learn, right? And and long story short, I'm glad I went because I took away some very valuable, I met some very key people, 2 people who could potentially become clients of mine, coaching clients. And I met, some of the things that the guy also shared was incredible, that was very helpful to me. And I said, so I came home, and last night I sat down and I spent a few hours just kind of mapping out some things I heard him say that I could do. And I was very much able to really clearly identify what are the problems of my ideal person that I want to work with. What are the pains? What are the things that, he or she struggles with? And then not only that, but also find solutions. 3, he said that, we've heard this before many times, but sometimes you need to hear it again, right? He said, what are 3 things that keep your ideal person up at night? What are 3 things that keep them awake? And then he said, not only that, but what are our 3 solutions or that you could bring to that person? Oops, sorry. I'm sorry. What are 3 solutions you could bring to that person's life that could really transform their life, And I said, write those things down. So really, I took the time last night to do just that. I began to write down, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote for a few hours, and it's amazing what I came away with,
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned that you wrote it all down. You kind of brain dump, basically, right?
Yeah.
Because that topic came up, and the after conversation of the interview, we talked about brain dumping, how we do it, and I realized I haven't done that this year. Yeah, and it's something I usually do in January. Just a general business brain dump. What are all my thoughts for the year? What are the goals and things that I want to accomplish? It's not as organized as, a goal list, but it's just write it all down. Anything that's on your mind, put it down. And it's really jumpstarts your creativity.
It does. Because I was in my journal, last night as I end my day, I was just journaling. What are some things that I learned? Or because one of the questions I asked myself is, what did I do today that was a win or an accomplishment? So I was writing down in my journal that I felt satisfied that I now have a clarity of my ideal person, and what it has done is giving me content, tons of content, information, and idea that I can now go forth with to help that person. But also, the guy said, I'm a speaker, right? So he said, what company, what business would want to hire you and why? What is it that you would do for their business? So he had to write all that down as well. Sorry. And I was able to do that last night, and I felt like, I had a good grasp of that. And then I was listening to Ray Edwards' podcast on, using the acronym PASTOR to create sales page. So I wrote a long, for the first time, between a combination of going to this meeting on Saturday, being inspired by that, listening to this podcast on copywriting, I was able to put together a long sales page from that, as far as I build it out, following precisely. I said, I'm going to follow these things. I'm going to follow precisely what it is they're saying. And I'm just going to test it out and see what happens. And now, as in a way, I'm going to try to send this now to someone to do a page, laid out in a way that it's very, like a sales page type of thing that I'm going to get someone from either Upwork or Fiverr. Probably Upwork. I think I'm going to do Upwork for that and get someone to lay it out for me.
Yeah, you brought up a very important point just now, Kingsley, when you said you followed it step by step. I don't know how many times I've either signed up for somebody's course or listened to a podcast and tried to implement something that they did. And then I sat there and I picked and chose what it was that I wanted to do that they were talking about.
Yes.
And then I get crappy results.
Yeah.
Because I didn't follow the steps. It's like, I was just thinking about this the other day. Now, if I were McDonald's and I wanted to make hamburgers, there's a specific order, a specific temperature, a specific time on each side of the burger before I flip it. There's a specific amount of condiments that goes on each bun and everything. And if you don't do that, you don't come out with a McDonald's hamburger that tastes like every other McDonald's hamburger ever made.
That's true.
When you get some 17-year-old in there and decides that he's going to make the hamburgers his way instead of the company way, you got nothing but problems. And it's because it's a proven system that has steps and, that you have to follow in order to get the same results. And when you try and pick and choose, well, I'm going to make a Big Mac, but there's going to be no sesame seeds on the bun. It's not a Big Mac anymore.
It's true. And that's why I think that it's a very good point you're making. And I think that's where I decided, I made a decision, a conscious decision. I said, what I've done in the past haven't worked. I pick and choose bits and pieces here because I think, okay, I know it. I've been at this for a long time. I can use just those parts, and which at times you do it because you want to, you take parts here and parts there and put together your own stuff, and I get it. But I think sometimes if we follow what it is that has worked, why not just test it out and see will it work for you? And I'm seeing that it felt better. It felt like, okay, I can do this. It felt like, okay, I can, make this happen kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt better,
Yeah, it's again, it's like the microphones and things that we were mentioning earlier. When I got started podcasting, one of the things that I was trying to do was set up my equipment. We've been down this rabbit hole before. There's a video that tells you how to do that. There's the audio podcast that tells you how to set up the equipment. But I was trying to do it on my own and not following the directions, and I wasn't following them closely or step by step. And that stalled me for almost a year. So I just taken the time to go back and find a proven plan by somebody who knows what they're doing, who's done it before, and who's outlined the process. I could have had success that afternoon. And in fact, that is what happened eventually when I found the right video that would tell me how to do that. But again, it comes down to being systematic and following the directions to the letter.
Because there's a reason why I think those individuals have said, for example, you think about your own niche and your niche, right? Mm-hmm. And you are helping someone achieve something that you've achieved because you've systemized and what has worked. You've kind of documented that, and you said, here are the steps I took that I know will work, because not only have it worked for me, I've helped other people in some small ways to get a result similar to mine. When I was writing my sales copy last night, I went back and I included my own self. I said, here's what has happened for me. And then I also shared some testimonies from my own clients and said, here's what they've said about what working with me has led to. Well, what I think has been made, when you follow a series of steps that I did, my clients, the people that our testimonials have given to me, have done, then why wouldn't I follow what it is you're telling me have worked for you, have worked for someone who's worked with you and use your system? Well, why do I think it should not be the same for me if I want to get the same result? So I think sometimes, and for me, it's just bottom line for me, I'm at times is my arrogance that gets in the way. I know it all. It's just like, who are they to tell me? And I'm smarter than they are, and which is crazy. But that's what I think. Bottom line for me is my arrogance, and I'm the smartest person in the room. So, and what has that? The question is like, how has that worked for me? It hasn't worked.
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to get around people who know more than you do. And that was kind of me reaching up to John Grimsmo on building a CNC business. He knows more than I do. His results and his it's obvious.
I mean, if people are making, if I'm making, say, for example, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year or sometimes every quarter, right? And I'm not making that money, then hello, there's a reason why they're making it and I'm not. They're doing something that I'm not doing that I need to do to make that kind of money. So why would I not listen to them? But again, it's just sometimes for me, it's pride that gets in the way and my arrogance,
One of the first episodes that we ever listened to in the Internet Business Mastery Academy with Jeremy Franzen and Jason Van Orden, they talked about affiliate marketing and affiliate income. Okay, for those who don't know what that is, let's say, a software or digital product where if you put up an ad or you expose your audience to it through email or through some link or whatever, that company will send you a small percentage if someone orders that product. So that's the basic long and short of it. It doesn't cost the customer anything. It's just something, a way for that company to advertise without having to do it themselves. So they tell us, Jeremy and Jason tell us that, they make money from affiliate income, and, how to do it. They outlined it. They told us the sources. They told us, the different places. Yet how many people go out and take the time and, put links to the affiliate products into their webpage or into their podcast or into their other thing and never try it and say, well, that really doesn't work. I don't think I'm going to do that. Or they just put one link in and never try to put it in a second link or, to do the practices and follow the steps. And then you don't make any money with it. So the point is, you and I have been discussing affiliate income recently and seeing the results that has from just a little bit of effort. And you've been seeing good results from it, haven't you, Kingsley?
Yeah, it's interesting that I think that having spoken to you and you were showing me, how, hey, man, look at this. It's like in this month, it's a few dollars, but it's a few dollars anyway, and it adds up, right? I'm saying, man, this is crazy. Why am I not doing that? So I think you were kind of that inspiration that I needed when you showed me and said, Kingsley, it can be tracked. And here it is. That's just a very, this is the evidence right here. So I said, well, it doesn't cost me anything. Just find, make sure that I have a link in here. And it's not, I'm just making up something. I've used these products and all that. Why not put it in my blog or on my page? And I've seen since then, I'm making a few dollars here and a few dollars there, start trickling in and why couldn't I have been doing this for a long, way back when, by now I would have maybe over, a couple of $1,000 over the last few years had I been doing this, So it's that money on the table that we leave sometimes that it really doesn't cost us anything more than just put a link on our page or, a blog post or something like that,
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing you can set and forget. It's
Yeah.
not constant, work that you've got to do every month. Now, if you do it every month, you can have some phenomenal
Yes.
results. But it's the kind of thing. You set aside a day. We were talking about brain dumping or whatever. But you set aside a day. Okay, what things do I use that I really like? All right, write those down. Okay, cool. Now, let me write down the web pages that go along with those products. Okay, cool. Now, here's another step. Let me go and look on those web pages and type in the word affiliate in their search engine. Boom. Oh, it shows that they have an affiliate program. Okay, now let's see what I have to do to find out how to get on part of that affiliate thing. Whether I've got to go and join something like Share a Sale or JV Zoo or whatever in order to get to the affiliate. Really depends on what service they're using. Doesn't matter. But, jot it all down right next to each one of those things. And then go become an affiliate. Apply. Get on those lists. And then put links to, with your affiliate code, because you get that and you put it all down in one place. Get links to your affiliate code and put it inside of your text as you're writing an article about a relevant thing. Obviously you don't want to be an affiliate for a laxative if you're talking to people about profit sharing. Maybe the two are related, but probably not a good use of that affiliate link. But if you were talking about laxatives, maybe you were, constipated or something, and now it's relevant. Put the link in. Somebody could use some laxatives somewhere.
No, it's true, and you know what I find. I think it's a very good point you're making, because if you make it related to where the topic matter, but I find sometimes that you've shown me where I think was very interesting. You showed me where the person who may have linked. I use your link to get an affiliate, for example, Amazon, but they get in there and they purchase something that has nothing to do with the link that led them there in the first place, because of course Amazon showed them all these different things that Amazon said you now need this. Mm-hmm. And they said, I've been thinking about why not get that? And here's a good part, that because they went in there with your link, you get a commission, even if they purchase something totally like a laxative, for example, that had nothing to do with your product or your writing or your blog, but because they came from your page, you get the commission on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it happens quite frequently. Like I will look through. Now you said earlier that it's trackable. I can look at these things and and log it down and everything. Well, Amazon. Let's use Amazon as an example of an affiliate marketing relationship that you could have. So Amazon every month puts out a list of the things that people bought. It doesn't tell you who bought them, but it puts out the list of things that they bought and what your affiliate percentage is. And I always look down through there to see, okay, what is it, that's converting well? What is, and by that I mean, I put a link out and somebody clicked it and went there. Okay, so, what are the people buying? Now, I did articles on router bits, for instance, and every month somebody buys a router bit through my link, which is great, Mm-hmm. But then I look and I see big screen TVs or, cookware or, curtains or, just totally unrelated stuff to this. And I realize the power of the affiliate link is that it puts a cookie on their web browser that lasts for 24 hours. So if they go to Amazon through my link to look for router bits, and their wife comes in and says, "Oh, you're on Amazon. Could you get me these curtain rings too?" Well, here's the link. I get a commission on the router bits and the curtain rings. And oh, by the way, hey, honey, look at this. They've got a sale on Kindle Fires. Boom, now they bought a Kindle Fire, and I get a commission on that as well. And, during that 24 hours, what they buy, I get a little bit of it. It can 2 or 3%, 6%, 8%, depending on how many people I have. But that starts to add up over time.
Yeah.
And it's
And
for,
that's what I like about that.
yeah. And, and it's not much work. You put in a hyperlink or you put in a little banner ad, in your page. People see those all the time anyway. Or you mention a product in your podcast and you link to it in your show notes. And, somebody goes on there. Now, you've got to tell them that you're by the FCC rules and FTC rules as well. You've got to tell them, hey, this is an affiliate link somewhere on the page. You've got to give them a disclaimer. That's another step in the process that says, yes, if you buy this, it doesn't cost you any extra, but I get a small commission for, you're using this link.
And I think what I like about the fact that I put on my page in very small print, because not I'm hiding anything, but I don't need it for it to dominate my page. And I put on there, some of these links are affiliates where I earn a very small commission. It doesn't cost you any more to purchase the items. And so I just put that there. Well, that covers me because it's there on my page. And if they didn't see it, then that's, but the point is there,
Yep.
And I think as long as you have it there, it covers you.
And you can even just put a link on that says disclaimer, a hyperlink on there. And if they click that link, it takes them to the page that says, hey, some of the things I put on here are affiliate, programs. And, that suffices because the information is there for those who are looking for it. Check with your lawyer because I'm not one. But,
That's a good point. Yeah, I like the disclaimer. I like the disclaimer page. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And, it's that sort of thing because, I had never heard of affiliate links before I got to listening to Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn or to the Internet Business Marketing podcast with Jeremy and Jason. I hadn't heard of it before that. And when I did, I was like, wow, you got to be kidding. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But then I was hesitant because there was something that, you're an ethical man, Kingsley. I like to believe I'm an ethical man.
Yes, you are.
And there's something about it. It says, well, do people know that when I show this product that, I might get paid a little bit for it? I don't know how I feel about that. Is there something sleazy about this? But the truth of the matter is, no, you've been marketed this way for, 20 plus years.
Oh, yeah.
I put a disclaimer out there. And in fact, I go out of my way to tell people, hey, I have an affiliate relationship with this company. One of my affiliates is Bluehost. They're a web hosting service. And why do I have an affiliate relationship with them? Because I use Bluehost. I've got 10 or 12 different websites that I'm hosting with Bluehost. I've never had a problem. It's a good thing. And the affiliate commission from Bluehost is pretty good. So I put a link there. If you're looking to put out web hosting, then, you could do worse than by going with Bluehost. I think it's a good, I think it's a good service. So here's a link. If you like it, great. If you don't click it. Either way, it doesn't matter unless you buy something. I would never see anything from it, but it is one thing out there, and I like Bluehost. Period.
Yeah, and I think it's like if I was a friend of someone and something is working for me and I having no issues with it, and they're looking to do something similar, why wouldn't I want to tell them about a product that works for me, that is helping me to do my business? Why wouldn't I want to tell them that? So I think, to me, sharing the information and say, hey, this is what I do, and by the way, if you so like this, I'll make a small commission. They, in turn, will be more than happy to get you that commission because you've given them information they would not have otherwise. Otherwise, they would not have had otherwise.
Yeah.
So to me, I think is that if by not doing it, by not sharing that, not making it available, it could be regarded as selfish. And I think it's like, keep it to myself, And I think that's where we're in a shared economy now, our whole world have shifted to a shared economy and value-based economy. Therefore, why wouldn't I want to let someone else know about what is working?
Mm-hmm. It's funny. We're talking about the little things that make the difference. And this, in my business, this is one of those little things that makes a difference. It allows me to afford to keep hosting my websites every month. The small commissions that I have, so that I don't have to go to the family money. Take money out of my paycheck to pay for for the website because these affiliate commissions are more than enough to pay for that. So it's a little thing that I can do to make my business, if not profitable, at least not costing me anything to do it. And
right.
If I didn't tell people about that, and and their big hang up from starting their podcast or from having their website was that they didn't have the money every month to put down, and I didn't tell them that they could have some affiliate commissions on their site, then that would be bad from a perspective. I would be not serving them well.
Right.
Right. But it's the little things like that, that allow you to do big things.
Yeah, I think to me, as I said before, how would you actually be serving people if you are there and you have this thing that cures this disease or whatever the case might be, and solve a problem? Basically, what it is, solve a problem. Why not want to share that with? And I keep on going back. I know I'm repeating myself, but I think I'm making a point that I don't think it's sleazy. I think it's really, to me, it's unethical if I have something and I just don't share, knowing it works, and hold it back from you. To me, that doesn't fit well with me. I want to share. And here's what happened, Bill. This is a mindset shift because I didn't have this mindset before, because I was one on the other side saying, that's not, is a used car sleazy salesperson. Don't push something on me and tell me those things. And I had to get out of that and get over myself and get past that, because once I was able to see from a different perspective and understand I'm trying to help you. I'm giving you information that I believe that I want you to have to be successful. And as Zig Ziglar says, you help as many people get what they want, you eventually get all that you want. So why wouldn't I do that? So I think it's a mindset shift that has to also take place, because sometimes people have a hard time even hearing what we're saying as the way we're presenting it, because the blockage comes from between their two ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes where our biggest roadblock is ourself. It's very strange to see the transformation that you've gone through to others what looks like a short period of time, but to us seems like forever. From when you started, pursuing your online business, through your podcast and everything, how much you've changed, how much you've grown, and how many different systems you had to learn and everything. From the outside, that has to look so amazing to our friends. From the inside, it's full of self-doubt. It's full of, wondering, we were talking about that slump earlier, where, you don't see the dial moving at all, but it is moving. But like all things, it's relative. You're having trouble observing it because you're in the event. Those who are outside of the event can see it happening.
So true.
So all these little things that you can come up with to help speed up the process, that, you should take advantage of. Can you think of another thing that you're doing now that you didn't do before that has made a big impact in your success, Kingsley?
I mean, there are so many. I mean, you mentioned earlier about the mastermind, as you said, about speaking to this guy, and he was saying about like-minded people, right? For me, that has been humongous, being able to hang with people who are like-minded. So that's been a tremendous thing. For me as well is to be able to mentioned earlier, write better copies. Like I said, listen to a podcast by Mike Kim or Ray Edwards. So listening to the right podcast and the just-in-time learning have also been tremendous for me, because now that I need that, I know where to go find that resource. So that's been helpful as well. Now, imagine me, say, well, I'll give you an example. I just interviewed someone recently that she's a writer, and she have a company that writes to ghostwriting and all the different things like that. And so I said to her, well, she said, I want to offer your audience a percentage off my fee because I did an interview on your show. My thing to her was, which I would not have done in the past, I said, do you have an affiliate that, like a joint venture, where if I offer that to my audience, that every person that signs up from my audience, I would get an affiliate for them signing up? Well, for me, she said, of course I have it. And here's a link. I'll send that to you. Now, I wouldn't have done that in the past. I wasn't thinking in that manner. But now I'm thinking monetization. My first thing, well, okay, maybe she have it. Now, it's not costing her anything more. It's not costing me, nor is it costing my audience anything more. Okay, here is where I'm going to switch microphone to the ATR 2100. Listen to the sound, the difference that you're about to hear. And here's Bill's question after I made the switch.
Wow, what a difference in sound, too. Is that the ATR 2100 we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I mean, again, so it just shows you how the ATR 2100, it makes a big difference, right? Now, it blocks out the sound. It doesn't avoid that clicking sound you heard earlier that I wasn't here, but you were hearing, right?
Yeah. Wow. We should put an affiliate link in this episode for the ATR 2100 as an Amazon. See, anybody who needs this great sounding microphone, they can just click the link.
What a difference it makes, right?
Yeah. Show them what we're talking about by doing it. That's really cool.
It is. And so I think sometimes I was listening to way back when someone was doing I think it was Cliff Ravenscraft was talking about microphones and showing the different, he was going through from one to the other and saying, can you hear the difference in the sound, right? So here's what a prime example of what happens, But I think it's like you could put an affiliate for that. I think going back to what I was saying, I think it's so important that, because the mindset of the affiliate, and with her offering that, here's the thing, it's not costing the person who's going to purchase it, because that's the price they would have paid anyway.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It's only that I'll be getting a commission from that that she agreed upon. So really, I'm doing my audience a service by offering them and exposing them to her to them. So they're win-win on both sides. So that, to me, it's a triple win. I win, my audience win, and my guests win. So
yeah,
can't beat that.
You can't. And, it's very obvious when you were doing this, the podcast up until this point, and you were using the headset that was, from your iPhone for the microphone. And, when you moved that ATR 2100 into your frame so that you were speaking into it, it was like a complete difference. And it's very, very noticeable. And so, that proves to me that, this is a really great microphone. And, if somebody's in the need of a microphone, this is a really good bang for the buck. And that's, why I use it. That's why you use it. And that's why, we will have an affiliate link in there. And we'll see if anybody clicks it. If they don't, not a big deal. But if they do, that little thing, that could mean the difference between having another episode or, having better hosting or, whatever. Maybe it'll buy a cup of coffee. It won't buy a Starbucks cup of coffee, though.
I know, right? I think Bill, something I heard just this past week, and the person was, they were talking about podcasting as far as the question was asked, how many podcasts are there, our podcasters are there right now, because the idea about podcasts making its return, and there are over 300,000 podcasters right now that are within in the major platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all of 300,000. And this guy was saying, but of that is about 180,000 or so that are actually are are still going. Mm-hmm. So really, it's at a very beginning stage. And what came out of that conversation was this: what was the most important part of the podcasting? Is it the content? Yes, to some degree, but you have an audience who want to hear you. But what came out was, if there's any one thing you need to have, the guy was saying, and he's a podcast expert guy, he said, make sure your sound is good. Invest in good sound, because people, they'll put up with the content not being the best, but they won't put up with the sound not being adequate or the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a podcast that I used to listen to quite a bit, where the host of that podcast actually was using a telephone for for his podcast, and he had a old style radio show where folks called in. Willie was his name. I can't remember the last name, but anyway, I could not listen to his podcast in the car because his audio was so low that I could not hear him when he's speaking.
Wow.
And maybe you heard what I just said, but his audio was so low that just the road noise and the car noise made it difficult for me to hear. And so I stopped listening to him, even though he had fantastic content. I just couldn't put up with not being able to hear it.
Imagine.
So I think he's still going, but I would hope at some point he would upgrade his audio. Who knows? Maybe he listens to our podcast and he'll hear this and do it. But yeah, very good content. I wish the audio were better. So.
And here's the thing. Imagine if today you were still listening to him, and now knowing what you know back now than you did then, you could say, hey, let me write him an email and just make a suggestion. Mm-hmm. And say, hey, here's what I use, and this would really make a difference. Just experiment with the idea. What that would create number one is a relationship. Number two, it would really be like, man, you would not be forgotten, right? Mm-hmm. But see, you would not have known this had you not put your time in experimenting with different microphones. And you who have the ear now for good quality, it matters to you. Mm-hmm. And people are now exposed to good quality because many top-notch programs and celebrities are now going to podcasts, and people are expecting some good quality podcasts. So the game, with the upper game, if we're going to compete in this industry, and it's only just started. So I think the earlier adapters like us getting our content and our sound out there, we could really rule and in this space, because we're the first ones to that, first one to get there and start this going.
Yeah. And, the cool thing about just talking about this microphone, and that wasn't our whole point to be an Audio-Technica commercial here, but it's an actionable thing. It's something you could go out today, either run down to, Best Buy or get on Amazon or Walmart or whatever, and you could order this microphone and immediately increase the quality of your broadcast. So it's something you can act on. A lot of things are complicated. This is not. Getting good sound is not hard. You just have to have the right equipment and know that you need to do that. Now we've told you. So,
I think it's fitting because it's the small things, Bill. And this may seem very insignificant. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. So it's a small thing. So it could be the sound, it could be the microphone, it could be your show notes, it could be your content, it could be your, it's just small things, right? That cannot be overlooked if we're going to be serious in the business that we say we are in.
Speaking of small things, I had an embarrassing moment last week when I went out to John Grimsmo's shop in Canada. So, I knew I was going the day before, right? So I should have been prepared. I should have grabbed all my equipment, my video equipment and everything, to take out to make the YouTube video. Well, I grabbed up my camera that I always use, my video camera to do everything, and headed out the door. Now, I've been filming video nonstop for the last couple of weeks as I get my machine ready to go. Do you think, now it's the small things, right? Again, do you think I bothered to check to see how much memory was left on my video card? No, I did not. Do you think I bothered to take a spare with me? No, I did not. It's the little things. So, we get partway through the thing, and he's showing me some really cool stuff, and I'm getting it all on video. And then it says memory card full. And I'm done. But because I was thinking outside the box, I remembered that I have a fully functional production studio right on my hip in the form of my iPhone. And so I put down the digital camera, DSLR, and picked up the iPhone and just kept going, because it's the little things, having a backup or something, having a spare memory card with you at all times, so that you don't miss these one-time events. So it's the little things, knowing that you got to be prepared.
And if you think the little things don't matter, be in bed with a mosquito.
I have never heard that one. That's awesome.
Well, it happened to me. I was on vacation, my wife and I, in Jamaica, and we had where we were staying, they had mosquitoes was everywhere, no mesh on the window, no screen on the window, and therefore the mosquitoes were coming in. And my son was very young at the time, and we were in bed, and I'm telling you, it's a night from hell, because the mosquitoes were just and you're trying to, I tied a sheet around the bed trying to make a canopy, a tent-like thing, just to keep away the mosquitoes. So I'm telling you, man, if you think the little things don't matter, just be in bed with a mosquito all night and see what happens.
That's a powerful illustration there, Mr. Grant. That is a powerful illustration.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've been there, done it, and lived it, and trust me, it was a night from hell.
All right. Now, just to bring this all together. Now, I think, there's lots of little things that might keep you from having your podcast and putting your podcast out. But there are a lot of little things that you can do that make your life easier, that help pay for it, that help make it easier for you to do, and, help your production of it be more efficient. And, we've mentioned a few of those things. We're going to put links in our show notes and our resources to these things that we've mentioned. And, hopefully you'll look at them if there's something that you need at this moment, because, wasting time looking at a microphone if you've already got one is kind of silly. Or, looking for a memory card. I'm going to put one in for the memory card. Why not?
Yeah.
If you don't need it, it's silly. But when you do need it, you need to know that what you're going to get is, going to be appropriate for it. And if we can help in some way, then that's great. It'll be in our show notes as part of our affiliate program. And, it'll help pay for this. But that's not the point. The point is for you to take the fact that we're doing it and apply it to your podcast. So take the steps to find out about affiliate marketing and how it can help your podcast to grow and how it can help monetize it so that it's helping to pay for itself. Because, maybe profit is not your motive for doing your podcast. Maybe it's you've got a message that you want to get out that somebody wants to hear. But it's a lot easier to get out your message if you can afford to pay for the hosting. So, this may be a way to help pay for your hosting.
And I think I would add to that, the taking the action step, but also to realize that the many successful people out there, we've mentioned in different times, but Pat Flynn, who have made a living and a comfortable lifestyle from affiliate market, the small things that we took for granted, is proven over and over again. And just ask one of those people. So what we're saying here is not that we're just trying to make something up, like you said, or sell something. We're only sharing what works and what we want you to have, because we believe that you too can do and can really take what others have done, even ourselves, and beyond ourselves, and make something very substantial of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, just as an example, the most popular podcast 2 years ago was undoubtedly the one by Sarah Koenig, and that is called...
Is it from NPR?
Yeah, Sarah Koenig from NPR. It's called Serial.
Yeah.
Okay, the Serial podcast. They had an affiliate relationship with MailChimp. You probably didn't even notice it as they ran the commercial. MailChimp. They were saying the name wrong. As an affiliate relationship. So when anybody signed up for MailChimp, which is an email provider, boom, they got an affiliate commission. Okay, that's just one example. When you look at Smart Passive Income, Pat Flynn, he has numerous...
Tons of that.
You look at Cliff Ravenscraft's The Podcast Answer Man, or now it's called the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Right.
Tons of affiliate links. You look at any genre that you can think of that, has a podcast, the comedy shows, that are out there, they have affiliate links. If all of these podcasts have affiliate links and yours does not, what does that tell you? That tells you you're at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
It's the little things that allow those people to continue to grow and to monetize and to market. Thousands of podcasters can't be wrong. And, Kingsley brought up something really important there, and I meant to get back to. You said there were 380,000 podcasts, but of which only 180,000 of them were
active.
Mm. So let's call that half.
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier, we mentioned that slump where you're not seeing the needle move and you're not seeing the growth. And I wonder how many of that percentage of those people gave up because they didn't see a little progress. Okay. And they said, well, this is obviously not for me. I'm going to just stop. If you're in that position, think about it, because it's a little thing. But if you hang on long enough, that little thing, one member here, suddenly turns into, hey, guys, I'm listening to this podcast. You should check it out. And now those numbers turn from 1 member to 2 members, each talking about it. And they get excited about the podcast. You're right. That was exactly what I was looking for. And they tell their friends. And that's how it grows. It grows a little by little. It's the little things that matter.
It does. And I think it's just really not, as you said, is not give up, keep the course, keep focused, keep taking small steps, keep taking action each and every day. I've been there. And sometimes I'm telling you, I myself have felt like giving up. I felt like it's not working. I felt like, man, what's the use? The numbers are stagnant. It seems like just have plateaued. I haven't got much engagement. And I've been there. And I had to remind myself, Kingsley, what's one action step you could do today? I'm even in my own speaking business, sometimes the speaking opportunities have not come around, or the coaching have not come around. And I'm saying, okay, so I journal, and in my journal, I write, what's one thing I will do today to move my business forward? And I write that one thing down. So if I do that one thing, I know it's getting me eventually to where I want to go. It's one step, as we've heard, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, we can beat the horse to death, but I don't think we are. I think, knowing these little things, these one steps, the thing like your journaling thing, that's really cool. I like that idea. That's something I could implement, and it's a little thing. And it wouldn't take much time. That's the whole point of this episode. Taking action, doing a little thing that's going to have big results. someday. So I'm going to include links to everything that we've mentioned in this episode inside of the show notes. I'm also going to include information on some of the major affiliate services that are out there that have thousands of affiliate opportunities for you to look at. And you can go and search them and see what fits your niche, your group, depending, you can scratch your own niche. But anyway, you can look through there and find something, I'm sure, that will help you grow your business. And that's what it's all about, helping you to get going faster. That's all.
And if you want further help, you can always reach us at podcastbyfriday.com. Just email us. We look at every email that come in and respond to them personally. So if you need some help, that's the best way to get a hold of us. Again, it's podcast at podcastbyfriday.com. And don't forget to join our Facebook group, which is at facebook.com/groups/podcastbyfriday.
Fantastic. I hope you learned a little something from this interview. And I know just talking about it with Kingsley, I've learned something. So, I hope it's something that you can go out and take action with. 'Cause that's the whole point. Take action on the little things and big things will happen.